Hello everybody, this is the 64th lecture for IELTS with Mr. Haidar Qasir. Today we are taking book 15, General, test is free, reading is free. How animals keep fit. The first question says, choose the correct letter A, B, C or D. Write the correct letter in boxes 28 to 30 on your answer sheet. 28. The writer discusses marathon runners and bicycle geese to introduce the idea that A. Marathon runners may be using inefficient training methods. B. The role of diet is achieving fitness has been underestimated. C. Bicycle geese spend much longer preparing to face a challenge. D. Serious training is not always necessary for physical achievement. Okay, let's start with the paragraphs. No one would dream of running a marathon without first making serious effort to train for it. But no matter how well they have stuck to their training regime, contestants will find that running non-stop for 42 kilometers is going to hurt. Now, consider the bicycle goose. Every year, this bird carries out a 3,000 kilometer migration. So how do the birds prepare for this? Do they spend months gradually building up fitness? That's not really the bicycle goose's style. Instead, says environmental physiologist Lewis Halsey, they just basically sit on the water and eat a lot. Until recently, nobody had really asked whether exercise is as tightly connected to fitness in the rest of the animal kingdom as it's for us. The question is tied up in a broader assumption that animal maintain fitness because of the exercise they get finding food and escaping predators. Halsey points out that this may not necessarily be the case. Take the house cat. Okay. 28. The writer discusses marathon runners and bicycle geese to introduce the idea that D. Serious training is not always necessary for physical achievement. That's the answer. Okay, let's see 29. The writer says that human muscles A. use up a lot of energy even when resting. B. are heavier than other types of body tissue. C. were more efficient used by our ancestors. D. have become weaker than they were in the past. Let's look for the human muscles here. Here, the paragraphs here talk about the the point of the bicycle geese. Let's move here to this one. So, if exercise is not necessarily the key to physical strength, then what is? One clue comes from a broader view of the meaning of physical fitness. Biologically speaking, all it means is that the body has undergone changes that make it stronger and more efficient. In animals such as bears, okay, still not for it. Let's move to the other paragraph. Bicycle geese, Halsey suggests may be responding to an environmental change such as, okay, talks about bicycle geese too. Let's see the other paragraph here. Unlike migratory birds, however, humans have no biological shortcut or getting fit. Instead of pressures in our evolutionary history made our bodies tie fitness to exercise. Our ancestors' lives were unpredictable. They had to do a lot of running to catch food and escape danger, but they also needed to keep muscle mass to a minimum because muscle is biologically expensive. Each kilogram contributes about 10 to 15 kilocalories a day to our metabolism when resting. Okay, let's see. It says 29. The writer says that the human muscles, the answer would be A, use up a lot of energy even when resting. Why? Because it says here in the last paragraph here in this slide, in the second line, in our evolutionary history made our bodies tie fitness to exercise. Our ancestors' lives were unpredictable. They had to do a lot of running to catch food and escape danger, but they also needed to keep muscle mass to a minimum because muscle is biologically expensive. Each kilogram contributes about 10 to 15 kilocalories a day to our metabolism when resting. That means use up a lot of energy even when resting. Okay, now let's move to the other question here. 30. The writer says that in order to survive, early humans developed the ability to A, hide from their prey, B, run long distances, C, adapt their speeds to different situations, D, predict different types of animal movements. Let's see. So our physiology evolved to let our weight and fitness fluctuate depending on how much food was available. This makes us evolutionary different from most other animals, says Lieberman. In general, animals merely need to be capable of short outs of intense activity, whether it's the cheetah chasing a prey or the gazelle escaping. Cats are fast, but they don't need to run very far. Perhaps a few mad dashes around the house are all it takes to keep a domestic worm fit enough for feline purposes. Humans, on the other hand, needed to adapt to run slower, but for longer, says Lieberman. Okay, so 30. The writer says that in order to survive, early humans developed the ability to B, run long distances. Okay, that's the answer. Okay, let's move now to the other questions here. Complete the summary below. Choose one word only from the text for each answer. Write your answers in boxes 31 to 35 on your answer sheet. What's the key to physical fitness? Let's see. In biological terms, when an animal is physically fit, its body changes becoming more powerful and gap. For bears, okay, let's see here. Let's look for 31. So, if exercise is not necessarily the key to physical strength, then what is one clue comes from a broader view of the meaning of physical fitness. Biologically speaking, all it means is that the body has undergone changes that make it stronger and more efficient. So, in biological terms, when an animal is physically fit, its body changes, becoming more powerful and efficient. The answer here would be efficient. Why? Because it says in the third line that make it stronger, which means more powerful, and gap, we have efficient. Okay? For bears, This change may be initially caused by colder weather or lack of gap, which during gap. Okay, let's see 32. In animals such as bears, these changes appear to be triggered by cues such as falling temperatures. Okay, that means when it is cold. Okay, colder weather, falling temperatures, or insufficient food, lack of, or a lack of food. Lack of means the insufficient. Okay, that means the food is not enough, or there is no food. That's the answer of 32. Let's see which during gap causes certain compounds to be released into their gap and to travel around the body. Let's see. Let's see here. In the months of hibernation, these factors seem to prompt the release of muscle protecting compounds, which are then carried to the bear's muscles in their blood and prevent muscle loss. So, which during hibernation, because it says in the months of hibernation, that means during these months causes certain compounds to be released into their blood. Why? Because it says these factors seem to prompt the release of muscle protecting compounds, which are then carried to the bear's muscles in their blood and prevent muscle loss. So the answer of 34 will be blood. Let's see the last one. These compounds appear to prevent muscle loss in the case of barnacle geese. The change may be due to a variation in. Let's see. Barnacle geese, Halsey suggests, may be responding to an environmental change such as temperature. So the answer will be temperature here. Why? Because it says the change may be due to a variation in. Okay, and here is an environmental change. So a variation in. So it will be temperature. So the answers of 31 efficient, 32 food, 33 hibernation, 34 blood, and 35 temperature. Let's move to the other questions. Here, we have questions from 36 to 40. Match each statement with the correct researcher, A, B, C, or D. Write the correct letter A, B, C, or D in boxes 36 to 40 on your answer sheet. Notabene, MB means notabene. You may use any letter more than once. 36. One belief about how animals stay fit is possibly untrue. 37. It may not be possible to train all animals to improve their speed. 38. One type of bird has demonstrated fitness when exposed to a stimulus in experimental conditions. 39. Human energy use developed in a different way from that of animals. 40. The last one. One type of bird may develop more strength when the weather becomes warmer or cooler. List of researchers: A. Lewis Halsey, B. Chris Guglielmo, C. Daniel Lieberman, and D. Ross Tucker. So what we need to look for here is the names of those scientists. Let's see. Let us firstly look for the names here. We have Lewis Halsey, Chris Guglielmo, Daniel Lieberman, and Ross Tucker. Okay, this is the first paragraph. It has nothing. From now to is going to hurt. It has nothing. Now we say from now consider. Okay, we have Halsey. Louis Halsey. Let's see. Now consider the barnacle goose. Every year, this bird carries out a 3,000-kilometer migration. So how do the birds prepare for this? Do they spend months gradually building up fitness? That's not really the barnacle goose's style. Instead, says environmental physiologist Louis Halsey, they just basically sit on the water and eat a lot. So let's check. Okay, 36 says, one belief about how animals stay fit is possibly untrue. Let's check this one because it talks about it. Until recently, nobody had really asked whether exercise is as tightly connected to fitness in the rest of the animal kingdom as it's for us. The question is tied up in a broader assumption that animals maintain fitness because of the exercise they get finding food and escaping predators. We're still not sure of the answer. Halsey points out that this may not necessarily be the case. Okay, so 36 will be A, Halsey. Why? Because he's saying one belief about how animals stay fit is possibly untrue, and he says Halsey points out that this may not necessarily be the case. Okay, let's go on reading. Take the house cat. Most domestic cats spend much of the day lounging around, apparently doing nothing rather than hunting for food, but over short distances. Even the laziest can move incredibly fast when they want to. Similarly, black and brown bears manage to come out of several months hibernation with their muscle mass intact without having to live so much as a paw during this time. Okay, we still have nothing about any of the answers. Let's see. Let's go on with the reading. Barnacle geese go one better. In the process of sitting around, they don't just maintain their fitness, they also develop stronger hearts and bigger flight muscles, enabling them to fly for thousands of kilometers in a migration that may last as little as 2 days. Well, we have 40 talks about birds, but here barnacle geese we have. It doesn't talk about weather because 40 is related to weather. Okay, let's move on here. No problem. Let's see the other answers. We have, so if exercise is not necessarily the key of physical strength, then what is? One clue comes from a broader view of the meaning of physical fitness. Biologically speaking, all it means is that the body has undergone changes to make it stronger and more efficient. In animals such as bears, these changes appear. Okay, it talks about bears here. We don't have it. We say, okay, we have another here. Barnacle geese, Halsey suggests may be responding to an environmental change such as temperature, which helps their bodies somehow know. Okay, 40. One type of bird may develop more strength when the weather becomes warmer or cooler. So we have 36 will be A, Louis Halsey, and 40 will be Louis Halsey too. Okay, now let's move to the other paragraph. Let's go on with this paragraph. Know that a big physical challenge is looming in other bird species. That cue may be something different. Chris Guglielmo, a physiological ecologist, he studied the effect of subjecting migratory songbirds, known as yellow-rumped warblers to changing hours of daylight. We don't need to take little songbirds and train them up to do a 6 or 10-hour flight. He says, if they are subjected to the right daylight cycle, we can take them out of the cage and put them in the wind tunnel, and they fly for 10 hours. Let's see if any one of them suits. Well, okay. 38. One type of bird has demonstrated fitness when exposed to a stimulus in experimental conditions. Yes, because it talks about conditions here when he says if they are subjected to the right daylight cycle. So the answer of 38 will be B, Chris Coglielmo. Okay, so let's see. We still have here two other points. We still have 37 and 39. 37, it may not be possible to train all animals to improve their speed. And 39, human energy use developed in a different way from that of animals. Let's see. Okay, the last paragraph. Our ancestors' lives were unpredictable. They had to do a lot of running to catch food and escape danger. Okay, it has nothing. This one could produce about 10 to 15 kilometers a day to. Okay, we have Daniel Lieberman here at the end of the last paragraph of this slide. Let's see. Let's read from line number 3. Each kilogram contributes about 10 to 15 calories a day to our metabolism when resting, which does not sound like much until you realize that muscles account for about 40% of the average person's body mass. Most of us are spending 20% of our basic energy budget taking care of muscle mass, says Daniel Lieberman, as evolutionary biologist and marathon runner. Let's see. We have 39 says a human energy use developed in a different way from that of animals, which does not sound like much until you realize that muscles account for about 40% for the average person's body mass. Most of us are spending 20% of our basic energy budget taking care of muscle mass. Yes, because he's making a comparison between the energy for the muscles for running between people and animals. So the answer will be 39 will be C, Daniel Lieberman. Let's see now. This fluctuates depending on how much food was available. This makes us evolutionarily different from most other animals, says Lieberman. Yes, here is the assertion. The first 3 lines. So our physiology evolved to let our weight and fitness fluctuate depending on how much food was available. This makes us evolutionarily different from most other animals. Yes, so this is the assertion of how we answered 39. Okay, now let's look for the last one. We still have Ross Tucker. We haven't chosen him yet. Let's see if he's here, found. Maybe we don't need him. Let's check. We need just to look for Ross Tucker and check. I don't find the name of Ross Tucker in the first paragraph, neither in the second paragraph. Okay, the last paragraph. As for speed, even those animals that do cover impressive distances don't have to be the fastest they can possibly be. Barnacle geese needn't set world records when crossing the North Atlantic. They just need to be able to get to their destination. And says exercise physiologist Ross Tucker, humans may be the only animal that actually cares about reaching peak performance, other than racehorses and greyhounds, both of which we have bred to race. Animals are not directly competing against one another. I don't know that all animals are the same performance wise, and we don't know whether training would enhance the ability. He says, yes, 37, it may not be possible to train all animals to improve their speed. And in the last line, and we don't know whether training would enhance their ability. So 36 will be A, 37D, 38B, 39C, and 40A. Thanks for watching this lecture. If you liked it, please just press the button of subscribe. If you have any questions, write it in the comments. If you have any criticism, write it in the comments too. Thank you very much. That was Mr. Haidar Al-Qasir with you. Thanks.